For 6 hours, Maya Torres sat in complete silence aboard Flight 447, never speaking a word to fellow passengers or crew, who assumed she was grieving or antisocial. When catastrophic system failures threatened 300 lives, the unremarkable woman in seat 24C finally broke her silence to coordinate the emergency response. But when F-22 Raptor pilots heard her legendary call sign, Ghost, over military frequencies, they literally froze in their cockpits, recognizing the voice of America's most decorated combat pilot, officially listed as killed in action 8 months earlier. In the cockpit, Captain Richard Hayes, 52, runs through his pre-flight checklist with First Officer Jennifer Matsui, 34. Both are seasoned professionals with decades of commercial aviation experience between them. Hayes calls out each item methodically, while Matsui confirms the readings. Weather looks good all the way to LAX, Hayes notes, scanning the meteorological data. Should be smooth sailing once we're airborne. The routine feels comfortable, familiar. 23 years of commercial flying has made these procedures second nature. Flight attendant Sarah Kim approaches the cockpit door, clipboard in hand. Captain, we have 287 souls on board today. All passengers secured. Cabin ready for departure. She pauses, glancing back toward the main cabin. We do have one passenger who seems, well, she hasn't spoken a word since boarding. Seat 24C. Should we be concerned? Hayes shakes his head. Some people just don't like to fly. As long as she's not disrupting anyone, let her be. The aircraft fills with the usual pre-flight symphony. Overhead bins slamming, conversations in multiple languages, crying babies, and the rustle of passengers settling in. Among them, Maya Torres, 38, sits in the seat 24C with the stillness of a statue. Dressed in unremarkable civilian clothes, dark jeans, plain navy jacket, no jewelry or distinctive markings, she appears utterly forgettable. Her posture is perfectly straight, yet relaxed, hands folded, eyes closed as if sleeping. What makes her remarkable is how utterly unremarkable she appears. While other passengers fidget, chat, or scroll through devices, Maya remains motionless. The businessman by the window tries to engage her in friendly conversation about the long flight ahead. Maya glances at him briefly, offers the slightest polite nod, then turns her attention to the safety card. Her silence isn't rude. It's complete, professional, impenetrable. When the college student in the aisle seat offers to help with her bag, explaining she's tall enough to reach the overhead compartment, Maya acknowledges the offer with another minimal nod, but secures her small leather satchel under the seat herself. The student and businessman exchange a look. They've encountered the untouchable passenger. 3 hours into the flight, the aircraft cruises smoothly at 38,000 feet. Most passengers have settled into their personal routines, some sleeping, others watching entertainment screens, a few working on laptops. The businessman next to Maya has given up trying to engage her in conversation after receiving nothing but polite nods. The college student across the aisle occasionally glances over, clearly curious about the woman who hasn't moved, spoken, or even adjusted her position since takeoff. Maya sits with the stillness of a statue, but her mind operates with the precision of a tactical computer. Every few minutes, her eyes open briefly to scan the cabin. She notes which passengers have visited the bathroom, which flight attendants are on duty, and the subtle changes in engine pitch that indicate altitude adjustments. Most people would find this level of awareness exhausting. For Maya, it's as natural as breathing. The flight attendants have learned to work around her. When they offer drinks, she simply points to water. When they distribute snacks, a gentle shake of her head suffices. Sarah Kim has developed a theory that the mysterious passenger is grieving, perhaps traveling to or from a funeral. The other attendants speculate about everything, from selective mutism to social anxiety disorder. None of them suspect they're serving someone whose tactical awareness could neutralize threats they couldn't even identify. Maya's fellow passengers have settled into a comfortable rhythm around her silence. The businessman has pulled out his laptop and is reviewing quarterly reports. The college student has fallen asleep with earbuds still in, her head tilted against the window. Behind Maya, a young mother quietly entertains her toddler with coloring books, while her husband dozes. The atmosphere is peaceful, mundane, exactly the kind of environment Maya finds most operationally secure. What none of them know is that Maya's unremarkable appearance and absolute silence conceal one of the most decorated combat pilots in the history of the United States Air Force. Her call sign, Ghost, was earned through 17 classified deep penetration missions over hostile territory, flying experimental aircraft that officially don't exist. She has more air-to-air combat kills than any pilot currently on active duty, and her tactical innovations in stealth operations have been adopted across multiple allied air forces. The leather satchel secured beneath her seat contains documents that would require congressional oversight to declassify. Her civilian identity as Maya Torres is itself a carefully constructed cover, supported by years of operational security protocols. She travels this way, silent, invisible, unremarkable. Not because she's antisocial or traumatized, but because maintaining cover is as instinctive as checking 6 o'clock for enemy aircraft. At 32,000 feet over Kansas, the first indication of trouble manifests as a subtle vibration through the aircraft's frame. Most passengers don't notice it. The flight crew registers it as a minor irregularity, the kind of thing that happens routinely during transcontinental flights. Maya's eyes open immediately, and her head tilts almost imperceptibly as she processes the acoustic signature of the vibration against her knowledge of aircraft performance parameters. Captain Hayes frowns at his instruments. "Jen, you seeing anything unusual in the engine readings?" First Officer Matsui scans her displays methodically. "Nothing obvious. Oil pressure normal. EGT within parameters. Fuel flow steady." The vibration intensifies for 30 seconds, then fades. Hayes keys the intercom. "Ladies and gentlemen, we're experiencing a minor mechanical irregularity. Nothing to be concerned about, but we're going to descend to a lower altitude as a precautionary measure." The businessman glances at Maya, perhaps expecting some reaction to the captain's announcement. She remains motionless, but her breathing has shifted to a controlled tactical pattern that maximizes oxygen efficiency and maintains clarity under stress. Her hands rest loosely in her lap, but her fingers have automatically positioned themselves in the precise grip configuration for accessing emergency equipment. These aren't conscious adjustments. They're conditioned responses from thousands of hours in high-stress flight environments. As the aircraft begins its descent, the vibration returns with increasing intensity. This time, passengers notice. Nervous murmurs ripple through the cabin. The college student wakes up, looking around with the disoriented expression of someone pulled from deep sleep into uncertain circumstances. Flight attendants move through the aisles with practiced calm, but Maya can read the subtle tension in their body language that passengers miss. Captain Hayes' voice returns over the intercom, and Maya detects the controlled strain that indicates a pilot managing a developing emergency. "Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to be making an unscheduled landing in Denver to have our maintenance team take a look at the aircraft. Flight attendants, please prepare the cabin for landing." The carefully neutral tone doesn't fool Maya for a second. She's heard that exact inflection in her own voice when reporting battle damage while maintaining formation integrity. The vibration becomes a pronounced shaking that rattles overhead bins and causes drinks to slosh in cups. Several passengers gasp as personal items start falling from tray tables. Maya's eyes sweep the cabin with tactical precision, automatically identifying the strongest passengers who could assist in an evacuation, the exit routes that might become blocked, and the passengers who would need additional help in an emergency situation. In the cockpit, the situation deteriorates rapidly. Warning lights illuminate across the instrument panel like an aggressive constellation. Hayes and Matsui work through emergency procedures with the methodical precision that has been drilled into them through countless training scenarios. But they're facing a combination of system failures that doesn't match any single emergency checklist. Engine 2 is showing fluctuating oil pressure, Matsui reports. Hydraulic System A is showing intermittent pressure loss, and now we're getting warnings from the flight control computers. The aircraft lurches violently to the left. Passengers scream as they're thrown against their restraints. Overhead bins burst open, spilling luggage and personal items throughout the cabin. Maya's tactical assessment shifts into combat mode. This isn't a routine mechanical problem. This is a catastrophic emergency that could kill everyone aboard. For the first time in over 4 hours, she moves, reaching down to secure her satchel with one hand, while her other hand automatically checks her seatbelt tension. Hayes fights to maintain control as multiple aircraft systems begin failing in cascade. Denver approach, United 447 declaring emergency. We have multiple system failures and are having difficulty maintaining level flight. Requesting immediate vector to nearest suitable airport with emergency equipment standing by. The controller's response crackles through with professional urgency. United 447 Denver approach. Roger your emergency. Turn left heading 270. Descend and maintain 12,000. Emergency equipment will be standing by. The aircraft shudders violently as Hayes attempts the turn. The flight controls feel mushy, unresponsive. I'm losing hydraulic pressure across the board, he reports to Matsui. The backup systems aren't compensating properly. I don't think we're going to make Denver. His voice carries the controlled desperation of a pilot who has just realized that his aircraft is dying beneath him and his options are running out faster than his altitude. Behind them in the cabin, panic begins to spread like wildfire. Passengers who were calmly reading or sleeping minutes ago are now gripping their armrests with white knuckles as the aircraft rocks and shudders through increasingly violent oscillations. Flight attendants struggle to maintain their footing while trying to secure loose items and calm terrified passengers. The businessman next to Maya turns to her with wide eyes. God, what's happening? Are we going to crash? For the first time since boarding, Maya Torres speaks. Her voice is calm, controlled, carrying an authority that cuts through the chaos like a blade through silk. We're experiencing cascading hydraulic failure with possible engine damage. The pilots are following emergency protocols. Put your head down and brace for impact procedures. The businessman stares at her in shock, not just because she finally spoke, but because she sounds like someone who knows exactly what those words mean. The college student across the aisle overhears and turns toward Maya with desperate hope. Are you a pilot? Do you know about planes? Maya looks at her directly for the first time during the flight. What the student sees in those eyes is not the nervous assessment of a frightened passenger, but the calm calculation of a professional warrior evaluating a battlefield. I have some experience with aircraft, Maya says quietly. Right now, focus on your safety position and listen to the flight attendants. In the cockpit, Hayes and Matsui are losing their battle against physics and mechanical failure. We're not going to make any airport, Hayes says grimly. I'm losing control authority. Jen, get on the radio and declare a mayday. Tell them we're looking for emergency landing options, highway, field, anywhere we can put this bird down without hitting populated areas. Matsui keys the radio with hands that shake, despite her training. Mayday, mayday, mayday. United 447, we are going down. Multiple system failures, losing control of the aircraft. The transmission cuts through military and civilian channels alike. At Peterson Air Force Base in Colorado Springs, the alert goes out immediately. Within 90 seconds, 2 F-22 Raptors are spinning up on the tarmac, their pilots running through abbreviated pre-flight checks. The lead aircraft, call sign Viper 1, is piloted by Major Jake Morrison, a 12-year veteran with over 2,000 hours in the Raptor. His wingman, Viper 2, is Captain Lisa Chin, whose precision and tactical awareness have made her one of the most respected pilots in the squadron. Viper flight, you are cleared for immediate takeoff, the tower controller announces. Proceed to emergency assistance for civilian aircraft in distress. United 447, Boeing 777, approximately 100 miles northeast of your position, losing altitude and experiencing multiple system failures. Morrison acknowledges as both Raptors accelerate down the runway and climb steeply into the Colorado sky. Back aboard United 447, Maya makes a decision that will change everything. She unbuckles her seatbelt and stands, moving forward through the chaotic cabin with the fluid balance of someone who has navigated aircraft during combat maneuvers. Flight attendant Sarah Kim tries to intercept her. "Ma'am, you need to return to your seat immediately. We're in an emergency situation." Maya looks at her with calm determination. "I need to speak with the captain. I have experience that might help." Sarah's training tells her to refuse, but something in Maya's demeanor, the absolute confidence, the way she moves through the unstable aircraft, as if gravity were optional, makes her hesitate. "What kind of experience?" Maya doesn't waste time with long explanations. "Military aviation, combat emergency procedures. Get me to the cockpit." The simple authority in her voice carries the weight of someone accustomed to giving orders that save lives. Sarah makes an executive decision that goes against protocol, but feels absolutely right. She escorts Maya toward the cockpit, announcing over the intercom, "Passenger with emergency aviation experience coming to assist." In the cockpit, Hayes glances back as Maya appears in the doorway. What he sees is a woman of average height and unremarkable appearance, but her eyes hold the focused intensity of a professional pilot in crisis mode. "Captain, I'm Maya Torres. I have extensive military flight experience, including emergency procedures for multiple system failures. What's your current status?" Hayes doesn't have time to verify credentials or question protocol. His aircraft is dying, his passengers are in mortal danger, and someone just offered help. Hydraulic failure across all systems. Engine 2 showing intermittent problems. Flight controls are barely responsive. I'm trying to find somewhere to put her down, but we're losing altitude fast. Maya steps into the cockpit and immediately begins scanning the instrument panel. Her eyes move with surgical precision, processing information at a speed that makes Hayes realize this isn't just someone with some military experience. This is someone who reads aircraft systems the way most people read books. "Your backup hydraulic pumps aren't engaging properly. Try cycling the system reset while I check your alternate control pathways." As she speaks, Maya's hands move to secondary control panels with the muscle memory of someone who has operated advanced aircraft systems under extreme stress. Hayes and Matsui watch in amazement as she accesses functions and diagnostics that they know exist but have never used in actual flight operations. "Who the hell are you?" Matsui whispers. Maya doesn't answer immediately because she's discovered something that changes the entire emergency profile. "Your primary flight computer is showing signs of systematic sabotage or catastrophic software failure. This isn't just mechanical failure. Someone or something has compromised your aircraft's digital systems. The implications hit the flight crew like a physical blow. This isn't an accident. This is an attack." "Viper flight. This is Denver approach. United 447 is approximately 40 miles northeast of Denver International. Altitude 8,000 feet and descending. They have declared Mayday with multiple system failures. Major Morrison acknowledges while climbing through 15,000 feet. Viper 1 copies. We have visual contact with civilian traffic. Moving to provide assistance and assess situation. As the F-22S approach the crippled airliner, Morrison can see the Boeing 777 struggling to maintain level flight. Smoke trails from one engine, and the aircraft's flight path shows the erratic corrections of a pilot fighting failing controls. Viper 2, you seeing this? That bird is in serious trouble. Captain Chin confirms while running tactical assessments. Viper 1, recommend we establish communications with the civilian aircraft and provide guidance towards suitable emergency landing sites. Morrison switches to the emergency frequency. United 447, this is Air Force Viper 1, 2 F-22S on your 6 o'clock, ready to provide assistance. What is your current status and crew requirements? Hayes responds immediately, grateful for any help. Viper 1, United 447. We have multiple system failures, possible sabotage of flight control computers, and we're losing altitude rapidly. We have a passenger aboard with military aviation experience who is assisting with emergency procedures. In the cockpit, Maya continues working through the crisis with methodical precision. She has identified that the aircraft's fly-by-wire system has been compromised, but backup mechanical systems are still partially functional. Captain, I'm going to attempt to bypass the compromised digital systems and give you direct mechanical control. It's going to feel like flying a much heavier aircraft, but you'll have more predictable response. Her hands move across control panels with practiced efficiency. How do you know how to do this? Hayes asks while maintaining his death grip on the controls. Maya pauses for just a moment. Because I've flown aircraft that don't officially exist, and I've had to nurse damaged fighters home from combat missions where failure meant death for more than just me. The casual way she mentions flying aircraft that don't officially exist sends a chill through both commercial pilots. As Maya implements her emergency modifications, something unexpected happens. Her voice, which has been calm and professional throughout the crisis, takes on a different quality as she communicates with the F-22S. Viper Flight, this is the passenger assist. I'm implementing direct mechanical control bypass. Recommend you establish holding pattern at our altitude -2,000 for visual confirmation of our control recovery. Major Morrison acknowledges the transmission, but something in the voice makes him pause. There's a familiarity, an authority that doesn't belong to a civilian passenger. Passenger assist, this is Viper 1. Roger your recommendation. Can you confirm your aviation background for our coordination requirements? It's a standard question, but Morrison finds himself holding his breath for the answer. Maya keys the radio and makes a decision that breaks nearly 5 years of operational security silence. Viper Flight, this is Ghost. The call sign hits the radio waves like a thunderclap. In Viper 1, Major Morrison's hands actually freeze on his controls. Captain Chin's intake of breath is audible over the intercom. Ghost, the legend, the pilot whose classified missions have become whispered stories in fighter squadrons across the Air Force. Jesus Christ. Morrison whispers off-channel to Chin. That's Ghost. The Ghost. She's supposed to be dead. Chin finishes. Killed in action, on a classified mission, 8 months ago. That's what the briefing said. Morrison struggles to process the implications. One of the most legendary pilots in modern combat aviation is aboard that dying civilian aircraft, trying to save 300 lives with her bare hands, and knowledge that's worth more than the aircraft itself. Morrison keys his radio with hands that are shaking slightly. Ghost, this is Viper 1. We were told you were KIA. How is this possible? Maya's response carries 5 years of operational security training and the weight of missions that will never be declassified. Long story, Viper 1. Right now, I need your eyes on our control surfaces. Can you confirm visual on our elevator authority? The F-22S maneuver to get a clear visual of the Boeing 777's condition. What they see makes both military pilots realize they're witnessing something unprecedented. Ghost, your left elevator is showing significant damage, but you've got partial authority. Engine 2 is trailing smoke but maintaining power. Your biggest problem is going to be landing configuration. Your flaps and landing gear are going to be problematic with the hydraulic failures. Inside the commercial aircraft's cockpit, Maya continues working miracles with failing systems. She has managed to restore partial flight control by bypassing the compromised computer systems and reverting to backup mechanical linkages that most commercial pilots don't even know exist. Hayes and Matsui watch in amazement as their aircraft begins responding more predictably to control inputs. My God, it's working. The controls feel heavy, but they're responding. Maya nods while monitoring multiple system readouts. You're flying her manually now, Captain. No computer assistance, so she's going to feel like a much bigger aircraft. Your approach speeds will need to be higher, and your margins for error are smaller, but we can get her down. She turns to Matsui. I need you to calculate our best approach options. We need a long runway, emergency equipment, and minimal air traffic. Denver International has parallel runways and full emergency response, Matsui reports. But with our current rate of descent and system problems, I'm not sure we can make it. Maya studies the navigation display and makes rapid calculations that account for factors the commercial crew couldn't even identify. We can make Denver, but we need to optimize every mile. Viper Flight. Can you provide tactical navigation assistance? Morrison responds immediately. Ghost. Viper 1. We can give you direct vectors and clear the airspace. But his voice carries a weight that transcends military protocol. It's an honor to fly with you again. The comment reveals that Morrison has flown with Ghost before on missions that officially never happened, with aircraft that don't exist in any public records. Maya's response is characteristically brief. Likewise, Viper 1. Now, let's get these people home. But Captain Chin, listening to the exchange, realizes something that makes her blood run cold. She switches to a private channel with Morrison. Jake, if Ghost is alive and flying civilian cover, it means her last mission wasn't what we were told. It means something went wrong at levels way above our clearance. Morrison's response confirms Chin's suspicions. Lisa, Ghost was working on something so classified that even knowing she exists could get us court-martialed. If she's breaking cover now, it means this emergency is connected to something bigger than just mechanical failure. The implications ripple through both F-22 cockpits. This isn't just a civilian rescue operation. This is something that involves national security at the highest levels. Back aboard United 447, Maya continues coordinating the emergency landing, while simultaneously assessing the broader implications of the system failures. Her analysis of the compromised flight computers has revealed attack patterns consistent with sophisticated cyber warfare. This wasn't an accident or random mechanical failure. This was a targeted attack on civilian aviation infrastructure, possibly as a test for larger operations. Captain Hayes, I need you to understand something, Maya says while making final adjustments to the emergency flight control configuration. The attack on your aircraft systems was specifically designed to cause catastrophic failure over populated areas. Someone wanted this aircraft to crash in a way that would maximize casualties and damage. By getting us safely to Denver, we're not just saving lives. We're preventing a major terrorist incident. The weight of that revelation settles over the cockpit crew. Flight attendant Sarah Kim, who has been monitoring from the doorway, steps forward. "Are you saying someone tried to murder 300 people?" Maya nods grimly. "Someone with access to sophisticated cyber weapons and detailed knowledge of commercial aviation systems. This was a precision attack designed to look like mechanical failure." As United 447 approaches Denver International Airport, the scope of the emergency response becomes apparent. Fire trucks, ambulances, and emergency equipment line the runways. Military vehicles that aren't supposed to exist at civilian airports are strategically positioned around the emergency area. Maya realizes that her break of operational security has triggered response protocols at the highest levels of military command. By using her ghost call sign, she has activated emergency procedures that assume national security implications. Denver Tower, United 447 on final approach. We have partial flight control, compromised hydraulics, and possible engine failure on touchdown. Emergency equipment standing by. Hayes's voice carries the controlled tension of a pilot, making the most challenging landing of his career. Maya monitors his approach parameters while maintaining communications with the escort fighters. "Viper Flight, Ghost, recommend you maintain overwatch during landing operations. There's a possibility that ground-based assets may attempt to interfere with emergency response." Morrison acknowledges while thinking about the implications. If Ghost suspects ground-based threats, it means this operation has layers that extend far beyond a simple cyber attack on one aircraft. The Boeing 777 touches down hard on Denver International's longest runway. Hayes fights to maintain directional control as the damaged aircraft decelerates through emergency foam sprayed by ground crews. Fire trucks pace the aircraft while Maya coordinates final shutdown procedures for the compromised systems. Engine shutdown checklist complete. All passengers remain seated until emergency crews complete aircraft securing. As the aircraft comes to a stop, Maya unbuckles her restraint and stands. Captain Hayes turns to her with an expression of amazement and gratitude. "I don't know who you really are, but you saved 300 lives today." Maya's response carries the weight of classified operations and the burden of maintaining cover, even in the aftermath of a major emergency. "I'm just a passenger who had some useful training. Captain, make sure your report reflects that." But as Maya moves toward the aircraft exits, she knows that her years of civilian cover are over. By using the ghost call sign, she has revealed her survival to military commands that believed her dead. By demonstrating tactical knowledge that exceeds anything available in civilian training, she has exposed capabilities that point toward classified programs. The quiet passenger who boarded in Washington will never exist again. The emergency evacuation proceeds with textbook efficiency, but Maya notices details that confirm her suspicions about the broader threat. Certain emergency responders are carrying equipment that suggests they're prepared for chemical or biological contamination. Military personnel in civilian clothes are positioned to intercept specific passengers during the evacuation process. This emergency response was planned for something much worse than mechanical failure. As Maya steps off the aircraft, Major Morrison and Captain Chin are waiting at the bottom of the stairs. Both F-22 pilots have landed and are still in full flight gear, but their expressions carry a mixture of professional respect and personal awe. Morrison speaks first. "Ghost, we need to debrief this incident at the highest classification levels. There are people who are going to be very interested in how you ended up on that aircraft and what you discovered about the attack." Maya nods while scanning the emergency response perimeter. "Jake, this attack was a test run for something bigger. Whoever compromised Flight 447's systems has the capability to target multiple aircraft simultaneously. They were testing response times, emergency procedures, and system vulnerabilities. Chin steps forward. "What do you need from us?" Maya's response reveals the tactical mindset that made her legendary. "I need you to make sure no one on that aircraft talks about what they saw me do, and I need secure communications to Langley, Pentagon, and NORAD. We have approximately 6 hours before whoever did this realizes their test failed and implements their main operation." The implications of Ghost's assessment ripple through military command structures faster than the emergency response teams can process the civilian passengers. Within 30 minutes of Flight 447's landing, secure communications are established between Denver International Airport, the Pentagon, CIA headquarters, and NORAD's command center. Maya Torres, the quiet passenger who spoke fewer than 50 words during 6 hours of flight, is now coordinating a national security response at the highest levels of government. In a secure briefing room hastily established in Denver International's administrative complex, Maya faces a collection of military and intelligence officials who have arrived via military transport faster than should be physically possible. Colonel Sarah Mitchell, from Air Force Special Operations Command, CIA Deputy Director James Harrison, and General Patricia Wells, from NORAD's Cyber Warfare Division, sit across from the woman they knew only as a legend until 4 hours ago. "Ghost," Colonel Mitchell begins, using the call sign with the reverence reserved for operational legends. "Your official status has been KIA for 8 months. Your presence on Flight 447 raises questions that go beyond this incident." Maya responds with the precision that made her invaluable in classified operations. "My cover identity was compromised during Operation Silent Thunder. Rather than expose the program, I was officially listed as KIA while transitioning to deep civilian cover for ongoing intelligence gathering." Deputy Director Harrison leans forward, his expression indicating access to information that exists in fewer than a dozen files worldwide. Silent Thunder involved penetration testing of enemy air defense systems using experimental stealth technology. What does that have to do with today's attack on civilian aviation? Maya's response reveals connections that chill everyone in the room. The cyber attack signature on Flight 447's systems matches vulnerabilities we discovered in military aviation networks during Silent Thunder. Someone has weaponized our own penetration testing methodologies against civilian targets. General Wells, whose cyber warfare expertise makes her one of the most feared tacticians in modern military operations, immediately grasps the implications. "You're saying that classified military cyber warfare techniques have been reverse-engineered and deployed against civilian aviation infrastructure?" Maya nods grimly. "Not just reverse-engineered, General. Someone with direct access to Silent Thunder protocols has modified them for civilian targeting. This was an inside operation." The briefing room falls silent as the implications sink in. An insider with access to some of the most classified cyber warfare programs in existence has betrayed that knowledge to hostile actors who are now using it to target civilian aviation. The attack on Flight 447 wasn't terrorism in the traditional sense. It was field testing for capabilities that could bring down multiple aircraft simultaneously across the entire commercial aviation network. Colonel Mitchell breaks the silence. "Ghost, what's your assessment of the threat timeline?" Maya's tactical analysis draws on years of operational experience that exist in no official records. Based on the sophistication of today's attack and the specific vulnerabilities they exploited, I estimate we have between 4 and 8 hours before they implement their primary operation. They were testing response times, system redundancies, and emergency protocols. Now they know what works. Deputy Director Harrison activates a secure communication link that connects the Denver briefing room to the White House Situation Room, the Pentagon's Joint Chiefs, and classified command centers across the continental United States. Mr. President, this is Harrison at Denver International. We have a confirmed insider threat with access to classified cyber warfare capabilities. The attack on United 447 was a test run for what appears to be a coordinated assault on civilian aviation infrastructure. The President's voice crackles through encrypted communications with the weight of someone who has just realized that the nation's transportation system is under attack by enemies with access to America's own most classified weapons. What are our response options? Maya steps forward, her tactical expertise now operating at the highest levels of national command authority. Sir, we need to implement immediate protective protocols for all civilian aircraft currently in flight, ground all non-essential traffic, and activate cyber warfare countermeasures across the entire air traffic control network. General Wells adds her assessment. Mr. President, if Ghost's analysis is correct, we're looking at the potential for simultaneous attacks on dozens of aircraft. The casualties could exceed September 11th, and the economic impact of losing confidence in commercial aviation could destabilize the entire transportation sector. The President's response comes without hesitation. Implement full protective protocols immediately. General Wells, you have authorization to deploy all necessary cyber warfare assets. Ghost, I'm giving you operational command authority for this crisis. Maya accepts the responsibility with the same calm professionalism she brought to saving Flight 447. Thank you, Mr. President. I'll need direct access to NORAD cyber warfare systems, real-time coordination with FAA traffic control, and tactical support from F-22 squadrons at 15 major airports. The scope of the operation she's describing represents the largest domestic military response since the original September 11th attacks. Within 90 minutes, Maya's coordinated response begins implementation across the continental United States. F-22 Raptors deploy to major airports, while cyber warfare specialists implement protective protocols for aircraft navigation and control systems. The operation requires coordination between military and civilian authorities on a scale that tests the limits of emergency response capabilities. At Peterson Air Force Base, Major Morrison and Captain Chin receive new orders that transform them from emergency responders to tactical coordinators for a national security operation. Viper Flight, you are now designated as operational coordinators for Project Guardian Shield. All F-22 squadrons across CONUS will be implementing protective overwatch for civilian aviation under Ghost's tactical command. Morrison acknowledges while mentally processing the implications. Ghost isn't just coordinating a response. She's commanding a military operation that spans the entire continental United States. Back in the Denver Command Center, Maya monitors real-time data from hundreds of aircraft while coordinating with cyber warfare teams who are implementing defensive measures across the air traffic control network. Her analysis of the attack patterns reveals something that escalates the crisis to an even higher level. General Wells, the cyber signatures I'm seeing suggest coordination with foreign state actors. This isn't just domestic betrayal. This is hybrid warfare, using our own classified capabilities. General Wells' response confirms Maya's worst suspicions. Our intelligence assets are reporting unusual cyber activity from known state-sponsored hacking groups. They appear to be coordinating with the insider threat for a synchronized attack on multiple infrastructure targets. Maya realizes that the attack on Flight 447 was just the opening move in a much larger operation designed to destabilize American infrastructure across multiple sectors. Mr. President, Maya reports through secure communications, we're not just dealing with an aviation attack. This appears to be the aviation component of a broader infrastructure assault. Recommend we activate DEFCON 3 and implement full infrastructure protection protocols. The President's response carries the weight of a commander-in-chief who has just realized his nation is under sophisticated attack. DEFCON 3 is authorized. Maya, you have full operational authority to coordinate our response. As Maya assumes tactical command of the largest domestic military operation in decades, the passenger manifest from Flight 447 is being analyzed by intelligence teams who are discovering that her presence on that specific aircraft wasn't coincidental. The quiet woman in seat 24C had been traveling to Los Angeles to investigate suspicious cyber activity in the aviation sector. Her cover identity as Maya Torres included a position with a cybersecurity consulting firm that specialized in transportation infrastructure. Ghost, Colonel Mitchell reports. Intelligence analysis suggests your presence on Flight 447 wasn't random. Someone knew you were investigating aviation cyber vulnerabilities and targeted that specific flight. Maya's tactical assessment shifts to include the possibility that the entire operation was designed not just to test attack capabilities, but to eliminate her before she could discover the full scope of the threat. The revelation that Ghost herself was a target transforms the crisis from a test of terrorist capabilities to a sophisticated assassination attempt that escalated into hybrid warfare when the assassination failed. Maya realizes that her decision to break operational security and save Flight 447 has exposed a network of threats that extends far beyond civilian aviation into the highest levels of national security infrastructure. General Wells, I need immediate analysis of all personnel with access to Silent Thunder protocols. Cross-reference that with anyone who had advanced knowledge of my travel schedule as Maya Torres. Maya's investigation techniques draw on years of counterintelligence training that exists in no official curriculum. Someone inside our own command structure has been feeding information to hostile actors for months or possibly years. As the investigation unfolds, Maya coordinates defensive measures for over 3,000 aircraft, currently in flight, while simultaneously hunting for the insider whose betrayal has exposed the nation's most classified cyber warfare capabilities. The operation requires her to function simultaneously as tactical commander, counterintelligence operative, and cyber warfare specialist. Roles that she has trained for in programs so classified that acknowledging their existence could compromise national security. The F-22 squadrons under Maya's command report successful implementation of protective overwatch for civilian aircraft at 37 major airports. Major Morrison coordinates the tactical aviation component, while Captain Chin manages cyber warfare integration between military and civilian air traffic control systems. Their professional relationship with Ghost has evolved from emergency response to operational coordination in the largest domestic military operation since World War II. Ghost, this is Viper 1, Morrison reports from his position over Los Angeles International Airport. We have positive identification of suspicious cyber activity targeting aircraft in our sector, implementing countermeasures under your authorization. Maya acknowledges while coordinating similar reports from F-22 squadrons across the continental United States. The attack she prevented on Flight 447 was indeed a test run for a coordinated assault that is now unfolding across multiple time zones. All Viper flights, this is Ghost. Implement Protocol 7, countermeasures immediately. We have confirmed hostile cyber intrusion attempts on civilian aircraft navigation systems in sectors 3, 7, and 12. Maya's coordination of the defensive response demonstrates tactical capabilities that exceed anything in standard military training. She is simultaneously managing air-to-air coordination, cyber warfare defense, and counterintelligence operations across a battle space that spans the entire continental United States. In the Denver Command Center, intelligence teams working under Maya's direction have identified the insider whose betrayal enabled the attack. Ghost, Deputy Director Harrison reports. The insider is Colonel David Reeves, former program director for Silent Thunder. He disappeared 6 months ago during what we thought was a routine assignment rotation. Maya's response reveals the personal cost of her years in classified operations. Colonel Reeves was my commanding officer during the final phases of Silent Thunder. He's the only person outside the program who knew my cover identity as Maya Torres. The implications create a new dimension to the crisis. The attack on Flight 447 wasn't just terrorism or hybrid warfare. It was personal revenge by someone who had worked closely with Ghost before betraying everything they had sworn to protect. General Wells. Colonel Reeves has detailed knowledge of not just Silent Thunder protocols, but also the personal information of every operative who worked in the program. Every pilot, every technician, every support person who participated in classified operations is now a potential target. Maya's tactical assessment expands to include protection of hundreds of military personnel whose identities have been compromised by the insider's betrayal. The scope of Maya's operational command continues to expand as the full dimensions of the threat become apparent. She is now coordinating protection for civilian aviation, military cyber warfare defense, counterintelligence operations to capture the insider, and personal protection for military personnel whose classified identities have been compromised. The quiet passenger from Seat 24C has become the tactical commander for one of the most complex military operations in American history. Mr. President, Maya reports through secure communications. We have successfully prevented the coordinated attack on civilian aviation and identified the insider responsible for the security breach. However, Colonel Reeves remains at large with detailed knowledge of multiple classified programs. Recommend we maintain elevated alert status and continue protective operations until he is captured or neutralized. The President's response carries personal gratitude for Maya's role in preventing what could have been a catastrophic attack on American infrastructure. Ghost, your actions today have saved countless lives and prevented a major assault on our nation's security. You have the full resources of the United States government to complete this operation. Maya accepts the responsibility with the same quiet professionalism that characterized her years in classified operations. As the immediate crisis stabilizes, Maya begins planning the long-term operations necessary to capture Colonel Reeves and secure the compromised classified information. The passenger who boarded Flight 447 in complete silence has become the central figure in a national security operation that will reshape military cyber warfare capabilities and domestic security protocols for years to come. The businessman from Seat 24A will never know that the quiet woman who saved his life was one of the most legendary pilots in military history. The college student from 24B will never understand that the woman who spoke so calmly during the emergency was coordinating defensive operations across the entire continental United States. But Major Morrison and Captain Chin, whose F-22S escorted the damaged airliner to safety, will carry the memory of flying with Ghost for the rest of their careers. In the aftermath of Operation Guardian Shield, Maya Torres will disappear again into deep civilian cover. her official status remaining classified at levels that require presidential authorization to access. But the legend of Ghost will grow among the F-22 pilots who witnessed her coordination of the largest domestic military operation in decades, adding another chapter to stories that will never appear in any official records, but will be whispered in fighter squadrons for generations. The quiet passenger from Seat 24C saved more than just Flight 447. She saved the entire civilian aviation system from an attack that could have changed the course of American history. And she did it with the same calm professionalism that made her a legend in military operations that officially never happened, involving aircraft that don't exist. The gripping story of Maya Torres, the silent passenger in Seat 24C, reveals a profound life lesson. True heroism often lies hidden in the quietest corners, emerging only when crisis demands it. Maya, presumed dead and cloaked in an unremarkable civilian guise, sat unnoticed for hours, her silence mistaken for grief or aloofness. Yet, when Flight 447 faced catastrophic failure, her legendary call sign, Ghost, shattered the illusion, revealing her as America's most decorated combat pilot. Her calm expertise saved 300 lives, thwarting a sinister cyber attack designed to cripple civilian aviation. This tale stirs deep emotions, admiration for her selfless courage, awe at her hidden strength, and a sobering reminder not to judge others hastily. Maya's story teaches us that beneath ordinary appearances, extraordinary resilience and sacrifice may reside, often unrecognized until the moment of truth. Her choice to break years of covert silence to save others, despite personal risk, underscores the power of duty over self. In a world quick to dismiss the unassuming, Maya's actions challenge us to look deeper, to value the unseen heroes who protect us quietly. Her legacy, whispered among F-22 pilots, reminds us that greatness doesn't always seek applause. Have you ever encountered someone whose quiet strength surprised you? Share your story in the comments below. Let's honor the unsung heroes among us. If Maya's courage moved you, subscribe to our channel and hit the notification bell for more inspiring tales of resilience and sacrifice. Your support fuels these stories, connecting us to the heroes who shape our world in silence.